J.J. Redick's decision in the fourth quarter. Okay. You know, when it was happening and they were mentioning it on the broadcast, there was a little bit of like, all right, well, clearly he does not have much confidence in some of the other players that are sitting on the bench. However, it's maybe a quick breather. You know, I know I was mentioning this right after the post-game show. I was saying there's no way you can kind of throw Gabe in there for a quick second and kind of time this to where you got a timeout coming in another minute. So why don't I give Braun just a quick breather? We'll throw Gabe in there. We'll throw Vando in, one of those two players. And even though I'm not going to play them much, I can kind of stretch this out. He rests for a minute. Then we have a timeout. He gets another couple of minutes. Maybe I was able to get 3-4 minutes of rest for one of these players. Yesterday, something happened in NBA history that's never happened before. I'm going to read this a tweet, even though I know this was out everywhere. Legion Hoops put this out. NBA playoff history in today's Game 4. The first time a team has ever played the same 5 players for a whole half. No substitutions at all from J.J. Redick. When you're a rookie head coach, I don't know if you want to be the first coach to do something that's never happened in NBA playoff history. Or let's put it this way. If you're going to do something that's never happened before in NBA playoff history, there's been some great coaches in the league. There's probably a reason why a lot of those great coaches and bad coaches have not ever played the same 5 for a whole half. There's probably a reason for it. But let's just say this. If you're going to do something like that, you better win the game. Because if you win the game, then maybe people are saying, oh my God, look how ballsy J.J. Redick is. I can't believe he did that. Look at his guys, fought for him the entire time. They didn't even start Jackson Hayes. They went Dorian Finney-Smith, and they 24 minutes, go all the way down the road, go all the way down the line. All these players played all 24 minutes. If you win the game, then maybe J.J. Redick, you're saying, look at he took such a chance. You know, he knew that the Lakers don't play again until Wednesday. He understood how important this game is. Wow, he rolled the dice, and you know what? He benefited from it. But if you lose the game, that's the storyline. And now the storyline coming into Monday as we sit here and getting ready for Wednesday for Game 5, now the storyline becomes, did J.J. Redick make a rookie coach mistake? Did J.J. Redick make one of the worst mistakes that you can possibly make when you have a player who's 40 years old? Did J.J. Redick wildly hurt the Lakers in the fourth quarter by not giving any of his starters a minute or two rest, specifically Luka and LeBron? How much did he hurt them? Because when you lose the game, that's what it turns to. Then it turns to, I'm going to read some quotes here. None of these, by the way, are going to help J.J. Redick and are going to help his case. But I'm going to go back to what I just said. If you win the game, then maybe you get a lot of praise for it. Maybe you say, wow, look at the risk that he took and his players came through for him. If you lose the game, then you get crushed. And I think this morning, there's going to be a lot of people that are sitting back and they're going to be asking the question of, why would J.J. Redick play the same 5 guys for the entire second half? In NBA playoff history, that's never happened before. Do you want to be a rookie head coach that tries something for the first time that's never happened? And, you know, I think for me, part of the frustrating part of it is I think J.J. Redick's done a good job all year long. I want J.J. Redick to be the coach of the Lakers for years to come. And, you know, yesterday in the postgame show, I was reading some of the comments and people were like, I'd rather have Darvin Ham than go get Darvin Ham. You know, go follow the Milwaukee Bucks or go follow Darvin Ham and go see where he ends up. And maybe he gets another coaching opportunity. And I hope that's your favorite coach out there. I'll take my chances with J.J. Redick. Let me read a couple quotes here. Anthony Edwards after the game. I felt like they were gassed going down the stretch. So just trying to keep my foot on the pedal and keep going. So Anthony Edwards says yesterday that in the fourth quarter, which, by the way, They were down 10 in the fourth quarter. They outscored the Lakers by 13 in the fourth, 32-19. Anthony Edwards says post-game, I felt like they were gassed down the stretch. It's probably not wrong, but here's the opposing team's best player giving his analysis. Yeah, fourth quarter, what happened? How come you guys were able to come back down 13 or down 10? What did you guys do in the fourth quarter? I think they were just tired. All right, that's probably not the obviously that's not the best look. Let me read a couple other things here. I'm going to give you guys some stats here in the fourth quarter. Okay, I mentioned never been done before in playoff history. The Lakers lost the fourth quarter 32-19. All right, Lakers led 104-97 with 5 minutes to play, but got outscored by the Wolves 19-9 to end the game. Just like in the game before, I mentioned they got outscored 13-1 to end the game. In the fourth quarter, Lakers shot 27%, 28, let's round it up, 28% from the field. They shot 5 of 18 from the field. That's what they did in the fourth quarter. LeBron went scoreless in the fourth, attempting only 1 shot. Luka went 1 for 6. Reeves went 2 for 7. So I'm just kind of giving you guys some of the stats here of what it looked like in that fourth quarter. Not the best of looks. I'm going to read one more thing off here. This was a tweet from Magic. Again, this is all paid specific attention towards the decision of playing all your guys in the fourth quarter. And I'm going to continue to say this. If you win the game, people are going to say that you're, wow, never been done before. What a genius strategy. What a genius move. If you lose the game, then this is what happens. This comes with the territory. Here's what Magic put out in a tweet. I don't know if it's smart to play LeBron and Luka the entire second half after only having 1 day of rest between games 3 and 4. They played on a Friday night. They played on a Saturday afternoon. When we needed LeBron to take over in the fourth quarter, he couldn't. He scored 0 in the fourth. Kendrick Perkins put out there, rookie mistake by JJ. Bron and Luka were dead tired. You have to find time to get them some rest, especially a 40-year-old LeBron James who's in his 100th season. Okay, so I know I'm probably one of the earlier shows that gets off here in the morning, unless you're out on the East Coast or whatever the case is. I'm sure this is going to be a big talking point all day long, and people are going to be having that conversation of why did JJ play these guys for 48 minutes? If I'm making the justification for JJ, this is what I would say. I would say the justification for JJ Redick is, well, who do you want me to go to? Jackson Hayes hasn't done shit all series. Gabe Vincent, I can't trust, even though this is a player that the Lakers brought in specifically for these moments. He hasn't done anything for me. Vando is an incredible liability on the offensive end, and we're going to need some points. And I don't want to play Jordan Goodwin, who's a two-way player that I just don't think it's a good idea putting him in this situation. If I'm making a case for JJ Redick is saying, go look at the end of my bench. I don't really have that many options. But where I would pause is, all right, JJ, there's been a lot of teams out there, plenty of teams in playoff history that have been in this situation or predicament before. This has never happened before where you had 5 guys play all 24 minutes in the second half. You got to just get them a little bit of a breather. I think from yesterday when it was all happening to where we're sitting today, I think even if he just got a couple minutes here and there for LeBron and Luka, then this wouldn't be as much of a conversation. But it's the fact that he changed the starting lineup to start the second half, which I'm fine with. It's not like, obviously they feel like DFS is better in that position and Jackson Hayes isn't helping. So I don't really care from that perspective. They did outscore Minnesota by 13 in the third quarter, so clearly they threw them off a little bit. But I don't think they made any adjustments after that and then just hoped that they could hold on to that lead. As we sit here, as the dust settles, the only thing that I would say from a JJ perspective that I think would have been would have kind of eliminated this conversation, and they could have still lost the game, Could you have found a minute or two for Bron? Could you have found a couple of minutes for Luka? And I think if you would have done that, then everybody else would have just, they wouldn't have said anything. But it's the fact that it's the first time it's happened in NBA playoff history. It's the fact that the Lakers were outscored by 13 in the fourth quarter. It's the fact that Anthony Edwards was like, yeah, they were gassed there at the end. That's why we won this game, or that's why we took over late in the fourth quarter. I think it's a combination of all those things that leads to some of the criticism for JJ. I'll go back to what I said a little bit earlier. I'm a fan of JJ Redick. I think he's had a tremendous first year as the Lakers head coach. I think yesterday, desperate times calls for desperate measures. He was desperate yesterday trying to get a win. But I think he made, obviously some mistakes there of not just giving some of his guys a quick little breather to make sure they were ready to go for the final couple of minutes. Nobody shot well in that fourth quarter. Lakers as a team didn't shoot well in that fourth quarter. And with all being said, they still had a chance to win and end up losing the game. The last thing that I want to throw out here on the JJ topic, and then I'm going to read some of your comments because I'm sure you guys are heated and ready to go and either tell me I'm an idiot or tell me that I'm right. Doesn't matter either way. As long as your opinion is honest and genuine, I'm okay with it. My only question going into Game 5, one of two things here can happen. And we got a couple of days before, obviously, we get to Game 5. But what was the message that you sent to the rest of your roster yesterday? Because Gabe Vincent and Vando and Jackson Hayes, and go down the list. It doesn't really matter which player that I'm talking about. If you didn't get in the second half, were those guys looking at each other in the second half like, so are we not even, you got that little confidence, you're not even going to check us in for a couple of minutes? And then when they, the game ended and they get on the team bus and then they eventually get on a plane and start working their way back to Los Angeles, do you think these guys are having some conversations with each other like, damn, does this dude have that little confidence in all of us? The message that I think JJ Redick sent in Game 4 by not using anybody on that roster outside of that starting five that he started in the second half was, I got zero faith in you. How much of an effect does that have in Game 5? How much does that effect have in the rest of the series? Does that spark something in them? And then all of a sudden these guys are like, well, you just wait till I get time. Or does it discourage them? And I don't have an answer for you, but it's such a odd thing that we don't see very often that, when we do get to Game 5, what's that going to look like? JJ Redick took a chance, took a risk, and it didn't work out. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.